Ukraine continues to make things difficult for Russian soldiers in the region, sometimes through sudden and effective attacks with drones, sometimes with determined infantry operations, and sometimes with strategically placed mines. They are tightening the space for Russian forces. The Ukrainian army has created an effective defense strategy by combining modern technology and well-planned tactics. Especially the use of drones for reconnaissance and attack purposes plays a major role in restricting the movement of Russian troops and cutting off their logistics lines. The course of the war is currently shaping in favor of Ukraine, and every day they are achieving a different success on a new front. We will continue to share these military struggles with you, along with the most up-to-date footage from the field and detailed analyses. Stay tuned. In this video, we see the footage of Ukrainian forces evacuating the body of a fallen comrade located 50 meters away from Russian positions near the village of Kromov in the Donetsk region. During this time, a 5-man Wagner group is approaching the Ukrainian soldiers. One of them notices the Ukrainian forces and informs the others. Then, they split into 2 groups and launch an attack. In the clash, the Ukrainian soldiers manage the situation well and provide a good counterattack. As we see in the footage, the Ukrainian forces are caught off guard in this situation. They were busy evacuating the body of a comrade who had lost his life. This is a bad position for them. However, they managed to shoot 3 of the 5 Russian soldiers. After that, they have to withdraw. These types of situations show us that anything can happen on the battlefield at any given moment. You must always be ready for combat. A moment of inattention can cost you your life. As another example of what we mentioned, we witness the tough moments of a Russian soldier in a toilet cabin. We don't know exactly why he's inside, perhaps to hide or to relieve himself. But how could he have known there would be an attack there? After the location was determined using a drone, an attack is carried out on the toilet cabin where the Russian soldier is located, leaving the Russian infantrymen bewildered. In the continuation of the video, a second attack occurs, and we are unsure if he survives. We only see him coming out in a dazed state after the first attack. We know how difficult the terrain conditions are in the area. It's an open field with no sufficient space to take cover or find shelter, and the terrain is muddy due to the weather conditions. This makes it extremely difficult for a soldier to move on foot. And on top of this, a Ukrainian drone in the area makes the situation even more difficult for the Russian soldiers. The Russian infantry, trying to avoid being shot by crawling, becomes the target of the Ukrainian drone. The drone hunts them one by one. The area becomes silent with the helpless Russian soldiers who have been shot. This is truly a tough situation. When you step into an open area, you must find a place where you can take cover, because knowing that you can escape once a drone spots you will make you feel safe. Russian soldiers who fail to do this face a merciless end. In the footage from the 66th Mechanized Brigade, we witness an attack on a Russian shelter where Russian soldiers who refuse to surrender are located near the village of Nevsky in the Luhansk region. The Russian soldiers are trapped in the area, but they refuse to surrender. Ukrainian forces carry out attacks on the shelter to neutralize them. This is truly a desperate situation for the Russian soldiers, as there is no way out, and in a war, no one will show you mercy. With the expected outcome, Ukrainian forces eliminate them. Then, to ensure they are completely neutralized, they drop bombs and set the shelter on fire. Next, we see footage from the 23rd Mechanized Brigade. In the Roslav area of Donetsk, 2 Russian assault vehicles and a group of infantry are moving in a convoy. The infantry separates from the group and disappears into the area. After a while, the 2 Russian assault vehicles are attacked at a road junction. There is a TM-62 anti-tank mine in the area. First, one of the Russian assault vehicles hits the mine and explodes. Despite seeing this, the second Russian assault vehicle continues forward. This is not a sensible move because you've just seen one of your comrades explode in front of you. And you should know that mines have been placed in this area. This is a detail often seen in explosion attacks. The first explosion is usually meant to draw attention, while the second explosion is intended to destroy the other groups that gather in the area. When the second Russian assault vehicle continues on the road, it faces the same fate and is neutralized. Carelessness and mistakes like this on the battlefield result in serious losses. In another clip, we see a Russian infantryman who is hit after surviving an initial attack. The Russian infantryman, walking normally, suddenly drops to the ground after a bomb explodes beside him. We can't see if he's been hit exactly. Perhaps due to the confusion, he's not sure himself and lies down right away to check if he's injured. However, just as the Russian soldier might have thought he was safe, he is hit directly by a second attack. His clear mistake was stopping and waiting to check himself after the first explosion. He should have run away immediately, but perhaps due to the adrenaline at the moment, he couldn't manage the situation and became the victim of a 40mm grenade launcher shell. As we mentioned in the previous video, if you survive the first explosion, you must quickly escape from the area. Otherwise, your chances of survival will be extremely low. Russian forces are not only struggling on foot, but also while moving with their vehicles. In this video, a Russian BM-21 Grad M LRS is destroyed while carrying a tank by the 109th Separate Mountain Assault Battalion. First, a drone attack is made, but the Russian assault vehicle continues on its path. A second attack follows, but still, the vehicle continues. However, after a third attack, the BM-21 Grad M LRS is rendered immobile. Only after repeated attacks can it be stopped. Ukrainian forces then completely disable the Russian assault vehicle with various attacks. The durability of the BM-21 stands out here. Known for its reliability, the BM-21 can operate flawlessly in harsh terrain and various climate conditions. Its simple mechanical design makes it easy to repair in the field and requires minimal maintenance. Its ability to deploy and withdraw quickly provides excellent maneuverability in combat zones. The BM-21's ability to function in extreme heat or cold is a significant advantage, especially in conflict regions with diverse geography. In the next video, we witness an attack by the Border Rapid Response Unit Phoenix on a Russian-made 2024 Blyat Barn tank in Kurdyumivka on the Bakhmut front. The Blyat Barn, which was stationary in a forested area, is destroyed beyond use by a Ukrainian drone. Additionally, the term Blyat Barn catches our attention. If you're wondering what it means, Blyat Barn is a humorous term used in internet culture. Blyat, a curse word in Russian, is typically used to express surprise or frustration, and barn means a shed. This term is often used to describe large, clunky, awkward-looking, yet somehow functional structures or vehicles associated with Russia. Ironically, it's used to describe things that stand out for their durability and functionality while being entirely unattractive. In short, Blyat Barn is a humorous symbol of absurd Russian pragmatism. We also know how stubborn Russia is in the region. Near the village of Zhuravka in the Sumy region, Russian forces attempting to cross the border are stopped by the 67th Motorized Rifle Brigade. While trying to advance in the area, they are picked off one by Ukrainian FPV drones. After the attacks, there are no signs of Russian infantry. It's unclear whether they are just waiting inside their vehicles or if they have already fled. Regardless, Ukrainian forces destroy all of their vehicles, rendering them useless. Russia persists without slowing down. Despite the intensifying difficulties of winter conditions, the conflicts on the front lines demonstrate that neither side is compromising their determination. Freezing cold and challenging terrain significantly test both the soldiers' endurance and the effectiveness of logistical operations. Yet both sides struggle to overcome these obstacles. Strategic moves in critical regions, in particular, maintain the intensity of the clashes, while the winter season adds a new dimension to the war. In previous videos, we saw Ukraine using FPV drones for explosive and demolition attacks. In this video, a Ukrainian infantry soldier is shown placing an explosive device in the city of Kharkiv region. The Ukrainian soldier, carefully approaching Russian positions, meticulously sets the explosives before leaving the area. This brave act is truly commendable. Hours later, when Russian soldiers return to their positions, they are neutralized by the explosive left behind by the Ukrainian soldier without realizing anything was amiss. The courage and stress management of this soldier are incredibly important, as this is not a task every soldier could undertake. The Ukrainian infantryman successfully completes the mission. Snowfall in the area creates a white landscape, while Ukrainian kamikaze drones strike Russian positions one by one. Using unmanned aerial vehicles under these weather conditions proves highly logical. Already an effective weapon of war, drones have enhanced their efficiency even further in cold weather. In previous footage, Russian soldiers were seen as open targets on the battlefield, but this time they are mostly stationed in shelters or houses used for refuge due to the adverse weather. The limited visibility from their positions makes it difficult for Russian soldiers to detect drones. After Ukrainian kamikaze drones identify the locations of Russian troops, they begin to eliminate their targets. Currently, winter conditions dominate the battlefields of the Ukraine-Russia war, with temperatures typically ranging between 0 degrees Celsius and 5 degrees Celsius. These conditions directly affect both the soldiers' mobility and logistical operations. In the next footage, a Russian armed vehicle is seen stationed beside a path surrounded by trees. An FPV drone detects it and moves in for an attack. The vehicle, likely carrying highly explosive ammunition, experiences a massive explosion, rendering it unusable. The thought of such a large and powerful vehicle being neutralized by a much smaller and significantly cheaper device while stationary must be unsettling. Indeed, using technological weapons is practical, but there's undeniable satisfaction in taking down a target solely through one's skills. Of course, you cannot continue in war with such expectations. Using the most logical and straightforward tools available is essential. This is why, in the next footage, the steel border guards use artillery to strike a Russian armored vehicle. It is truly a remarkable shot. As we have mentioned before, this is not something every soldier can achieve. A well-aimed shot and the successful elimination of a target must feel incredibly rewarding. Throughout history, there have been countless astonishing events, whether witnessed or not. The adrenaline, fear, and survival instinct experienced during war can push individuals to perform beyond their potential. Russian infantry is advancing toward the Kursk region. As you know, the Kursk region is of significant importance to both sides, which is why the struggle in this area is persistent. A group of Russian infantrymen enters the shelter of some wreckage, which is a significant mistake. Gathering vulnerably in an open area under the wreckage is not very logical. A Ukrainian drone spots this and neutralizes them. Following this, Ukrainian artillery comes into action, launching an attack covering a wide area. Some Russian soldiers survive the attack, but a Ukrainian tank arrives to deal with them. The few surviving Russian soldiers are neutralized by the tank's attack. This group of Russian infantry faces 3 different attack methods and fails to complete their mission, losing their lives in the process. The effectiveness of FPV drones in open areas is well known because the terrain offers no opportunities for hiding. As we've seen, Russian soldiers took refuge indoors due to the weather, yet hiding changed nothing for the FPV drones. However, it appears this particular Russian infantry had no place to hide. In a desperate attempt to defend against the FPV drone, a soldier throws his helmet at it. This act truly reflects a sense of hopelessness. The FPV drone easily avoids this, maneuvers a few times, and finishes the job. In the footage, we witness the attacks of fighters from the 3rd Assault Brigade. A Ukrainian D-30 howitzer devastates Russian positions. Russian soldiers hiding in various areas are identified in time by unmanned aerial vehicles. Due to the limited space in the region, Russian soldiers are stationed in buildings, wooded areas, and fields. As seen in the video, a group of Russian soldiers trying to escape through the woods is caught and eliminated by an FPV drone. The same scenarios occur in other areas. Russian soldiers planning an attack are detected in advance by Ukrainian drones and successfully stopped. Now we come across an interesting scene. 2 Russian infantrymen are seen walking calmly. Suddenly they notice an attack and try to flee. It is unclear whether the attack involves a drone or a bomb. What we do know is that one of the soldiers is easily neutralized. However, the interesting part is the reaction of the other soldier. When his comrade is struck, he briefly looks at him and continues walking. His friend writhes on the ground in pain, but he merely observes for a moment and moves on. From his body language, there is no sign of fear or concern. He acts as if nothing has happened and lies in a trench. However, another attack targets him almost immediately, and he is located and struck in his position. It is said that such behavior by Russian soldiers no longer surprises anyone, as this is characteristic of their conduct. Reports suggest that the Russians have previously shown little regard for the lives of their soldiers and are willing to suffer casualties for even minor victories. This video, belonging to the 80th Separate Air Assault Brigade's aerial reconnaissance in the Kursk region, provides another example of this. On the other hand, weak-minded or overly sensitive individuals should not be in such war environments. Although this does not apply to this soldier, we do not know what this soldier experienced or what kind of person he is up to this point. What we know for sure is that you should never abandon a teammate who is dying. You should help them as much as possible and only retreat as a last resort. Alternatively, if your mission involves saving thousands of lives, you might leave your teammate behind to complete your task and save those lives. These are our standard moral judgments, and we judge according to them. Sometimes our psychology influences and changes our perceptions of right and wrong. We act on instinct. The most primal human instinct is survival. This soldier likely experienced this instinct. However, if you wish to be a soldier on the battlefield, you must rid yourself of emotions. You must focus solely on your mission and not fear death, as all of this will give meaning to your death. Leaving a comrade to die and being struck down minutes later in the same manner is a tragic tale. The Ukraine-Russia war has transformed into an arena not only of courage and strategic maneuvers, but also of testing human and psychological limits. Every individual involved in this war is caught between the drive to survive and the sense of duty beyond the physical challenges. In an environment where cold weather and technology have reshaped the nature of warfare, both sides are fighting to gain the upper hand. However, it must be remembered that the true cost of war is borne not only by soldiers on the battlefield, but by all of humanity. Such war footage highlights not only the significance of technological and strategic superiority, but also the limits of human psychology and resilience. While every conflict writes a different story for a soldier, all these stories together reveal the brutality and tragedy of war. Regardless of the outcome, finding solutions that avoid such enormous human losses should be our priority in ensuring world peace.